So we're not quite halfway through our study of the book of 2 Timothy. And let me just give you a little recap to remind you where we are. The Apostle Paul is nearing the end of his ministry. In fact, not long after he finishes writing the book of 2 Timothy, Paul will be martyred for his faith. He'll lose his life. And he's writing to Timothy, who is a pastor at the church in Ephesus. But Timothy is more than that to Paul. Paul is Timothy's mentor, and in fact, Timothy is Paul's son in the faith. Paul was instrumental in Timothy coming to Christ, and he has watched him grow up in the faith and now move into ministry and serve on his own. And there are so many things that he wants to tell Timothy. He knows his time is short, and he wants him to know these things. Let's look at 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 14. Remind them of these things and charge them before God not to quarrel about words, which does no good, but only ruins the hearers. So Paul says, make sure you remind them of all this stuff, Timothy. Well, what things? Well, what have we talked about so far? The value of serving God faithfully, the importance of perseverance, the fact that God will give his people the strength and ability they need to persevere, no matter what the cost or the difficulty. We've also talked about understanding the value of the gospel, the sacred trust that God has given to us. And we've talked about passing our faith along to the next generation. Make sure your people don't forget these things, Timothy. This is very, very important, he is telling him. And we haven't really talked about this, but all of these things, of course, need to happen in our individual hearts. I need to respond to the gospel. You need to respond to the gospel. You need to determine that you want to faithfully serve God no matter the cost. You need to pass your faith along to the next generation. But also, this needs to happen in the context of family and as team as well. We need to do these things together. We're called to do them together in the local church. We need each other. Now, newsflash. Sometimes when we do all of these things that are so important that Paul has been talking about in the context of team, in the context of family, doing them all together, sometimes we'll have different opinions. Sometimes we will disagree. Sometimes we won't get along. Now, it's not always malicious. It's not always somebody that's out to get someone else, although I suppose that could happen. But even in a loving, caring family of Christ that we are here in our church, I believe, even then, sometimes we can rub each other the wrong way. We can disagree about things. We could be well-meaning in our desire to serve God, but we still come across at odds with each other. And here's the challenge for us. With all of these important things that God has told us to do, remember, Timothy, make sure they don't forget these things, and us too. And all the important things that God has given us to do around here, let's make sure that we do not waste our time in conflict over things that don't matter. That's what Paul is saying here. Don't quarrel about words, which does no good. There is so much to do. There are so many people to care for and to love. There are so many hurting people in this community that we are living right in the middle of who need to know that Jesus loves them and that they can be part of the family of God as well. Let's spend our time doing that. Let's not waste our time in conflict with each other. Paul says that only ruins us, and God is not honored. Don't waste your time, folks. Love God and love other people.